Hey, good afternoon. After a little technical difficulty, we start Tuesday's Tiger recruiting show only about 180 seconds late. So, not a bad day here at Power Mizzou. Gabe DeArmond, Sean Williams with you to talk a little Mizzou recruiting before the holiday. Sean, what's going on, man?
Not much. I thought you're having your internet issues, and I thought this thing would automatically start, and it was just going to be me, and I was going to be like Monty on Major League when Harry Doyle passes out. I'm just going to sit there and be like, "Welcome to the Missouri Recruiting Show."
Yeah, I mean, I have not yet started my holiday drinking, so I don't plan to pass out. Now, I can't promise I'm going to be here the whole time, but I do plan to be conscious as long as I am here. So,
There you go.
uh,
Well, when you leave, I'll just hit the leave button too, and it's all good.
perfect. Well, guys, if you're out here and joining us live, like our friend AU Stock, who is here pretty much every week, we appreciate it and certainly invite your questions, your comments, anything you have on your mind, preferably about Mizzou recruiting. But look, I don't care. We can talk about anything you want this time. I mean, it's a holiday week. Most of you guys, even again, we've discussed your employment status with us if you're watching this show live at 2:30 Central. But even if you have a job, you might be off this Tuesday. So feel free to comments, questions, anything you want to talk about, throw them in there. We'll get to them. Before we do that, always want to thank James Carlton State Farm Insurance for sponsoring these shows and being a part of it. Look, it's a lot of people going to be traveling, a lot of people going to be on the roads the next few days. You want to make sure that your insurance is up to snuff. Everything's current. You're saving as much money as you can. There's a lot of stupid people out there, not you, but other people on the road. Not great drivers, and you want to make sure you're insured and everything is up to date. Get in touch with James Carlton at carltoninsurance.net by phone at 314-961-4800. His team is going to take care of you and your family and all of its insurance needs. And if you mention Power Mizzou to him and he gives you a quote, he's going to donate $20 to the Mizzou NIL Collective's efforts to reward the players that are already here. Obviously, never to entice other players to come here. So, NIL obviously has nothing to do with recruiting, which is what we talk about here. And so, Sean, let's just start. Freeway Jared has already brought it up. We were going to start here anyway, but Missouri offered a 6'6" wide receiver in the portal from Texas A&M Commerce. And just kind of first reaction to seeing the Andrew Armstrong offer today.
6'6" wide receiver with over 1,000 yards receiving and 13 touchdowns. Yeah, a lot of people are going to go after a guy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Freeway. I'm pretty sure Drinkwitz is watching the show right now. And he's like, I'm waiting for Freeway to give me some free information right now. But yeah,
Yep.
I mean, a guy like that that's super productive. He just entered the portal like earlier today, and he's already got like six Power 5 offers right now. So probably going to be a hard get for Missouri, but yeah, anytime a guy's like that, and like you said on the board, Missouri's going to lose a couple of wide receivers. So due to graduation, so they're not going to come back this year. So hey, why not try to go out and see if you can coax a 6'6" guy that had over 1,000 yards to come here?
I mean, to be honest, they've been fairly thin this year at wide receiver. Micah Manning has played in games at times that matter. And that's not an insult to Micah, but that wasn't the plan coming into this season. JJ Hester transferred before this year. Toski Dove is done. Barrett Bannister is done. Jamarian Wayne moved to receiver before this season. So basically the receiving core, and tell me if I'm missing anybody. I mean, I know they got incoming recruits, but Luther Burden, Dom Lovett, Mookie Cooper, and Mekhi Miller. That's what's back, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so, just off the top of my head. And incoming, you got Marquise Johnson, you've got Josh Manning, so in this year's class. So
yeah, and so I mean, you've got 7-ish, but look, you've got to assume at least one of those freshmen probably isn't ready to play. I mean, let's be honest. Mookie's in his second year. He's got 16 catches, but like he's not super productive. You'd like to see Mekhi Miller, I think, take that leap next year. And hey, the commenters are anticipating what we're going to talk about today, so we'll just let them ask the question. Jason says, not sure if it's a recruiting question, but could be relevant. Do you think we will be outbid by someone else for Burden's services? And will he transfer if he gets a better deal on a better team? And look, I still, like, if I had to put money on it, I think Luther Burden is going to play football at Missouri next year. But you are naive if you are not acknowledging what is going on in recruiting. I mean, Blake Baker and Eli Drinkwitz both said it out loud this week. Hey, yeah, we know there are guys on our team that have heard from other schools. And now, if you want to believe that guys on their team have heard from other schools and nobody in any other school in America has heard from anyone at Missouri, you believe that. You go on and assume that your guys are the only ones following the rules and everybody's not. But this is how the portal thing works. And yes, I guarantee there are schools that are looking and saying, hey, there's a 5-star freshman there who, like, he's had a okay year, but, you know, it hasn't been great. There's a kid, another kid from St. Louis who at one point was the SEC's leading receiver. They're playing in an offense that has trouble getting them the ball and doesn't have an obvious answer at quarterback. I think we should maybe, you know, just kind of put out back channel feelers to see what's going on with those kids. I guarantee that has happened. That does not mean they'll leave.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of how this works, right? That's how relationships are built in high school, and whether you directly communicate with the kid or not. Now, maybe that's not going on, but there's definitely channels there. I mean, you know, they've been through the recruiting process. They built relationships. Coaches know their parents, their relatives, their high school coaches.
Their other coaches,
yeah, exactly. So look, that's how this is kind of how the new transfer portal thing kind of goes on in terms of recruiting and kind of recruiting before actually entering the portal and throwing feelers out there and seeing what feeling the water, dipping your toes in there. So yeah, it's definitely going to go around. Yeah, it's interesting to think about. And obviously Missouri fans are hoping that doesn't happen. So you've got to, I mean, look, but here's the thing, Drinkwitz had not very good success hitting the transfer portal for a quarterback last year. There's going to be options this year, look, if there's a good quarterback out there, they're going to probably go 4-1. But whether that ends up happening and comes to fruition, who knows?
Well, but that's part of this. I think part of that offer to that kid, and look, let's be honest, he has 6 offers today. He's going to have 40. The kid's probably not coming to Missouri, if we're being honest. But the point is, they're going to offer some other receivers because part of this is playing defense against what might happen. I mean, you are going to lose kids to the portal. You may lose kids you don't want to lose to the portal. And that's not Missouri specific. That's college football these days. So you have to be prepared if that happens. You can't just, if you get to the end of the offseason and 2 of your top 2 wide receivers have left, well, you better have something to come in and replace them. You better have some options.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, like I said, this guy's obviously, the Armstrong kid's obviously kind of a freak athlete. He's 6'6", he was super productive. Look, everybody in the country is going to offer him. And Missouri's going to probably offer some more guys that are really productive, whether that's FCS level or a G5 level kid. So, we'll kind of see how that trend continues.
And to be clear, just so everybody understands, Texas A&M Commerce is an FCS school. The FCS portal opened yesterday.
Yes.
That's where Missouri got Connor Wood from a couple years ago. So what they got Kiki Chisholm, I think, from there a couple years ago. So those are the kind of guys you're going to see for the next 2 weeks is FCS kids whose teams probably aren't in the playoff. And the difference, obviously, in an FCS kid versus maybe some of these bigger school transfers is these are kids who, hey, they may be coming from an 11-1 football team, or they may have had 2,000 yards receiving, but they want to take their shot at the higher level. We see it all the time in basketball, Division II guys transferring up. Right. It's less common in football, but, you're going to see some. DJ Coleman this year, he might have played his way into the NFL draft this season.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to see outliers like that, like this Armstrong kid obviously put up great numbers. There's going to be other FCS guys that are going to hit the portal. That have, especially, look, it's like we said, there's a lot of intrigue and offensive, defensive linemen that have starting experience and put up good numbers, whether you're at FCS level or higher. So there's going to be a lot of intrigue in those type of guys too, and so wouldn't be surprised to see them make some of those guys on the line make the jump on both sides.
Yeah, I tend to think, I don't know, maybe you don't agree with this. I tend to think it's more likely for a skill position guy to make the jump than a lineman. I mean, because the lines are just different at that level than they are here. If you're like this Armstrong kid and you're 6'6", 200 pounds, I mean, that kind of translates anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So there might be a few 6'5", 320-pound offensive tackles that are playing in FCS, but there aren't a ton of them.
There's not a ton, yeah. But they'll, some schools will take flyers on those guys. But yeah, I agree with you though. Like skill positions like wide receiver, running back, cornerback, those kind of translate a little bit more. So,
yeah. Jason is asking, Mizzou hasn't recruited the state of Washington. How did they land the quarterback? I mean, that's a Bush Hamdan thing, right?
Yeah.
Bush Hamdan, he was at Washington before he came to Missouri, so I'm sure he knew of Jabari Johnson when he was out there, and that's the connection.
Yeah, Hamdan was on that. So on Washington's staff previously, so he's got a lot of ties out there on the West Coast. And you see Missouri sprinkle in and offer some guys out in California and places like that. But Jabari's been that was a good little pull from Missouri. I mean, he's put up a good season. His season just came to an end this past week, but he put up some good numbers. I think he had 170 yards rushing, 184 yards receiving, and I think it maybe a couple touchdowns. So fortunately, his team lost and his season's over with. But pretty successful season for him.
Yeah, Mizzou fan number 7 saying Drinkin' Baker made it seem that you need to be prepared to lose a decent number of guys to the portal. I mean, Sean, I'm going to be stunned if it's less than 10. Double-digit transfers are coming.
Yeah.
Whether that's guys that are playing, not playing, whatever, it's going to be double-digit guys.
Because, I mean, I don't know what the exact number was last year, but there was only a handful of teams in the 14. Yeah, there's only like 14 teams that lost less than 10 players or whatever. So.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying from Missouri. No, Missouri had 14 guys.
No, I was just giving a big picture view. There's not a lot of Power 5 teams that lose less than 10 to the transfer portal every year now, and that's just that number's. I think it's just going to keep it going up. So.
And again, if you're losing kids, like let's be honest, the kids that have entered already are L.J. Hewitt and Davion Systrom. They weren't playing. They're not going to go to other Power 5 schools or better Power 5 schools. That's fine. You can afford to lose those. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about the kids. Good luck to them and all that. But that's not one that the ones that you worry about. And look, it is a problem for a school like Missouri that is just kind of in the middle there of what Power 5 football is. The problem that you don't want to have is a kid that's playing well here and all of a sudden now has a chance to go to a place where, hey, it's still a big stage. But rather than winning 5 or 6 games, they won 9 or 10, and they can go play for something. And that's what you have to play defense against is, there's a food chain in this thing. And we all know Georgia and Alabama are at the top of it and Ohio State. And then there's another 15 to 20 schools right below that. And then Missouri's probably, kind of on that next tier. So you got to watch out for the schools in the top 2 tiers coming to get the guys. Alabama may look at Missouri's roster and say, well, there's only 4 kids we think can play here. But they'll come after those 4 kids if they want to. Or if they enter the portal.
It's kind of like the Jordan Addison situation last year with, the Pitt wide receiver. Obviously, Lincoln Riley taking over. They had a big year at Pitt, but Kenny Pickett was entering the draft, and their offensive coordinator went to Nebraska. So, of course, there's some NIL money involved in that too. But yeah, you get a chance to go and help USC. Lincoln Riley going there and having his quarterback and taking a lot of people from Oklahoma. That's a high-powered offense, and they're probably going to play for the Pac-12 title. So,
right, and so the flip side of that is, okay, when you're Pitt and you lose that kid to USC, well, you understand you're below USC on the food chain. So who are you above on the food chain? I pick out schools, whether it's lower in Power 5 schools or the entire G5 or whatever, then you got to go find the kid from that school that can play at your place. That's just how the game works. John Henry asks if Chris Parker is trending back to Missouri. This is a basketball question. I don't know if I'd say trending, but he is planning a visit here. I believe it's not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, I think, is when it's looking like he's going to be here. And that's a good sign. He's planning to make an announcement in December. So certainly Missouri's in it. I'm not ready to say they're getting him, but certainly I think have a chance. Jamie Paredes wants to know, is there anything keeping a school from putting together a staff for college scouting and recruiting that is separate from their high school and JUCO recruiting? I mean, there's, so far as I know, there is no limit to the number of like recruiting personnel you can have, is there?
I don't think so. I think the only limit's definitely just to on-field personnel and who you can kind of,
and how many people can be on the road.
On the road, yeah. So I mean,
right.
I don't know if at least the teams I'm not involved with, I'm not aware that they have a specific, one or two people to look at the portal, and then they have specific high school people. I don't know if it's just a combination or a blend, but I'm sure they have to separate it somehow, and I'm sure they're probably people in charge. They're probably just all under the same umbrella, though. But
I mean, I would be stunned at this point if most schools don't have somebody who is in charge of portal talent identification. Like, look, we know, I can tell you for absolute fact, every major program has somebody whose job, and probably multiple somebody whose job it is to monitor the transfer portal.
Right.
So as soon as a kid goes in, I would assume that Missouri has one or more people that their job is, okay, immediately go find out everything you can about this kid if it's at a position we need. And look, like the kid from Texas A&M Commerce, I don't know, maybe Missouri already knew who he was. I sure didn't. But, but as soon as that kid's name pops in the portal, okay, go look at his huddle. Go find his highlights from this year. Go find out a little bit about him. Right. And then if that guy thinks, hey, this is somebody Eli Drinkwitz needs to look at, then that goes up the food chain to Eli Drinkwitz, and they say, hey, you need to check this kid out. And 5 hours later, he has an offer.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the A&M Commerce wide receiver, it was Pendleton that extended the offer. So,
yeah,
I think Christian Hines is another person that I've seen kind of throw out some offers. No, I don't know if it's like transfer guys, but I mean, in terms of this guy, it was Pendleton. So yeah, I'm sure they all have different roles, and somebody's definitely going to monitor that every day, and especially now since FCS has started, and then December 5th, the Power 5 guys can enter. So.
Right. And recruiting is not a 10-man job. Like Sean said, 10 guys can be on the road. Like 10 guys could go visit these kids. If Missouri signs this kid from Texas A&M Commerce, Jacob Peeler will technically get the credit for it. Jacob Peeler probably didn't find him initially, probably didn't identify him, probably didn't make the first contact with him. But if it gets to a point where Missouri has a chance, then it's Jacob Peeler's recruit. It may have started out as the recruiting GA's recruiter, analyst, or whatever. But as they have a better and better chance, it goes higher up the food chain. How crazy will the transfer portal season be? And what do you think should be done with NIL in the portal to make things better? I mean, it's going to be wild, man. I mean, it's going to come in waves, right? You're going to get a handful of kids on December 10th or December 5th. I'm sorry. Yeah. Who either are on teams that aren't in bowl games or just don't care about playing the bowl game and want to find their spot or whatever. Then you're going to have another wave because this stays open until what, January 20th, I think, something like that.
I think so. I'd have to double check and make sure. But
I know it's a 45-day window. So then you're going to get the wave after bowl games, right? Where kids are like, hey, I want to go play a bowl game with my team, and I want to get the free gift card to Bass Pro Shop or Camping World stuff or whatever it is that they give out. But then I'm out, and I want to go somewhere for second semester. So like December, let's say you play a December 17th bowl game. December 18th, your team's going to have 8 transfers.
Yeah.
And then this window will close, and kids will go through spring football, and we'll get the next wave on May 1st.
Yep.
And yeah, it's going to be nuts, man.
Yeah, I think right now, I don't know if it was an official number, but I think it's been like 300 and something kids have entered the last 2 days, FCS wise. So, yeah. So just imagine, it's probably going to be a lot more than that, Power 5 wise. So,
it is basically like the only way to view this is, if you get drafted in the NFL, you sign a contract, your rookie contract is 4 years with an option for a 5th year.
Yeah.
What this is signing a 4-year contract, but written into that contract is one time, whenever you want, you can void this contract and just leave with no penalty if you want. I mean, it's like a free agency card in the middle of your contract.
Yeah, and then especially with the new rule now where you can transfer one time without penalty before, and then you can't do it again to your grad transfer. So yeah, I mean you got that one chance, one shot. Don't play that Eminem song when they hit the portal.
Right. Jared says the portal is why he doesn't care as much about recruiting rankings. And I get that, but I don't know, Sean, you're still better off signing kids and developing them and keeping them out of high school than trying to find the right 10 guys in the portal every single year, aren't you?
Yeah, if you're doing a good job of it. I mean,
right.
Yeah. I mean, then again, it goes back full circle. Like, yeah, that's your grand plan. But then, you got those, say half those guys develop well. Well, 2 of them might hit the portal, in a couple of years. So, it's just it's so hard to really plan. You just got to kind of figure out, coaches just have to figure out, have a good idea of who's going to leave and then plan for that, whether that's portal or adding more high school kids, so it's just, it's a mess. I know they hate dealing with it, and, it's fun to cover, but it's also going to be like super overwhelming too, once December 5th hits and all those people hit the portal. I mean, yeah, good luck. I mean, I'm going to try to keep up with it as best I can, but I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to be perfect. So,
well, Sean, how are we going to cover the portal when Twitter's dead, when the portal opens?
Hey, man, that's a good question. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people writing some Twitter obituaries over the past few days, and it's still available. So, I didn't get all caught up in that. Yeah,
unfortunately.
If it ends, I guess I'll switch over to Instagram and start posting pictures, but whatever.
There you go. All right. Last question, I promise. Who would be the worst loss for Mizzou? Burden, Abrams, Drainer, love it. And look, before, we will answer this question, but I do want to say, none of these kids, there's not any necessarily indication these kids are going anywhere. It feels like we're doing a show of doomsday scenarios here, and I don't want this to become, oh my God, Gabe and Sean got on and they said our top 7 players are entering the portal. No, that's not the case. Look, they may all very well be. Every indication I've gotten is those kids are real happy here and they may stay here and everything's good, man. It's what college football is. If you're not acknowledging the possibility it could happen, then you're living in 2018 or whenever it was before this all started happening.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's just kind of, it's coming up, because obviously the FCS portal's opened up. So we've seen a lot of people enter the portal, and now Missouri's offering this A&M Commerce kid who had a big year. So obviously it's kind of the hot topic of this show, but yeah, you have to prepare for it. You have to prepare for your top guys to leave, and that we kind of seen that's happened previously with Mekhi Wingo, and you got to be prepared for it to happen again at some point. So
right, and last year, hey, Mekhi Wingo left, and they went out and got Christian Williams, and it's probably been maybe it's a little drop off, but it hadn't been big, you know. So that's how it happens. But as far as the actual question goes, look. The truth is Luther's the biggest loss if it happens for 2 reasons. First of all, he's got more time in college left. He has to play 2 more years. Second of all, it's just the public perception of it, man. I mean, you get the number 1 receiver in the country, and if you lose him after a year, it's just fair or not, the public hit of it would be pretty tough.
Yeah, I would agree with that and everything you said. I would probably, just to be different, I'd probably say love it just from a production standpoint. And, he's still pretty young, so so yeah, I would probably say that. But if you lose the number 1 guy, you invested a lot of time to get to come here, and then he takes and it's not like you kind of say, he's had an okay year, but look, when we go back and compare him to other 5-star receivers in this class, in the class he was in, he probably has pretty good stats, honestly. So
I mean, I looked it up. He has more touchdowns than any freshman wide receiver in America.
Right.
So it's not like he's having a bad season. It's just, we talked about this 6 months ago. Don't think this kid's going to come in and have 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns. It's not realistic. But I'll just wrap up with this saying, so you know how you do the either, neither, or both thing?
Mm-hmm.
I think the most likely scenario is that both of those kids are at Missouri next year. But I think the next most likely is that neither of them are. And the only reason I say that is I think, like, they know each other. They're friends. They've been, like, you don't want one to leave because one leaving would make it more likely the other would leave. But again, I got to be clear. I think the most likely scenario is that they are both here next year. So we're not like, we're just answering your questions. You know, we're not saying that this is going to happen.
Something to keep in mind. I mean, we kind of talk about package deals in high school and things like that. Now you got to worry about package deals in transfer portals. So.
Yeah, seriously, man, it's crazy. Zach is entering the message board transfer portal. That's a shame, man.
Well,
I mean,
you come to the right place if you don't have a job.
But yeah, I guess we did get him fired, so that's our fault. No, but this all leads to kind of what we had a lot of questions, so we got to those first. But I kind of want to wrap with this. I mean, this is all starting, Sean, in 13 days. The portal opens.
Right.
At the same time, you are going to be 2 weeks from or 11 days from signing day for high school kids. At the same time, you are going to have 82 of the 131 schools in the country preparing for bowl games. Like, does college football think that everything has to happen in the month of December? Like, we just have to put it all in the same month and you can't do things other times?
I guess so, man. It's like, hey, we got to capitalize.
But it's stupid.
Stupid for us, man. That's for sure. Stupid for the coaching staff,
and stupid for the coaches. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. Those dudes get paid. I mean, they get paid a lot more than you and me do, so I don't feel bad for them. But how do you balance all those things? Like, if I'm a head coach and I'm going, okay, I got 24 hours in my day, I'm going to sleep for 5 of them because I feel like that's the minimum I can get by on. I got to probably spend 2 hours with my family. So you're down to 17 hours. So what's going to take priority for you over those next 2 weeks? Making sure all your high school kids are going to sign. Making sure the kids on your team aren't getting poached by other schools in the portal. Making sure you are working the portal to get those kids. And then, oh, by the way, like sixth in line, unless you're in the college football playoff, is getting your team ready to play the Marmalade Bowl. And so that's why you're going to see a whole bunch of crap on the field in bowl games.
That's probably a very accurate breakdown of the order of how things go in December.
Right. To be fair, the family thing's probably lower, to be honest. But
well, I was going to say, I mean, either that or sleep. I mean, who needs sleep, right?
Right. But I mean, it just, I still, they've got to move. The one thing they can move is the early signing period. Like, I get why the transfer window has to be now. It's when it makes sense. But the early signing period does not have to be on December 15th.
But then you want to move that up to earlier?
I want to move it to July.
Okay.
I want to tell kids, if you know where you're going, if you know what you want to do, you get no official visits, sign in July. You are eligible to sign in July if you know where you want to go. If you don't know where you want to go, cool. September 1st, your 5 official visits start. You can go through the recruiting process. You can sign in February like everybody always did. But the early signing period, put it before the season for the kids like Max Wisner or Brady Cook, who were like, I got this offer and I don't care about anything else. That's where I'm going. That kid can sign in July.
Yeah. No, that makes sense if you wait till February. And yeah. If you're dead set on where you're going to go. But you know how these kids are. They might be dead set in July and change their mind once,
Well, then, but then just don't sign.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Like, and hey, the exemption is if your coach leaves the school, you're going to be out of the letter. That's fine. It's understood going in. If you sign somewhere in July and coach gets fired on, November 10th, hey, you're back out there. You can sign somewhere in February. It's too, of course it makes sense. It's too easy to, I don't understand why it wouldn't be happening.
No, I like the concept and, obviously pushing everything back, especially signing day back into the February. I mean, I think that would be huge because then you got the portal, the portal window, that portal window,
It's
that first portal window
closed?
will be closed, so you can
Yes.
focus on that. Yeah, I mean that's a good. I mean, look, this thing like with portal NCAA, they've changed the portal rules and window time frames and when you can enter
Yeah.
like so many times in like the last few months since the season started. So, I mean, I'm sure something's got to be done about this, and I'm sure if enough coaches will complain about it, something will have to be done.
Well, I mean, the way they've handled the portal and NIL, and look, it's not a surprise. It's what college sports do, but it's seriously like if you were having Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday and you're going, okay, man, Thanksgiving dinner's Thursday. It's going to be turkey and mashed potatoes and stuffing. And then, like, you're partway through the first course and people go, yo, but I don't like turkey, man. Let's just let's have some ham. Okay, well, shit, go get the ham in the oven. We got to get that. And then, oh, well, the ham's going to take 5 hours. What do we call? DoorDash. Get McDonald's in here real fast. That's how they've handled all of this. They've screwed it up ridiculously.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be a no. I get
the moral of this story is that Thanksgiving dinner for college sports is McDonald's cheeseburgers from DoorDash.
I think you just kind of slyly slid your Thanksgiving Day experiences into that rant.
No, I mean the whole point of that rant is simply this: I should clearly be in charge of college sports.
I mean, I think a lot of logical people would think the same way you do, but unfortunately, those logical people don't run the NCAA.
Well, and also, like, it's the coach's fault too. I mean, they complain about, but these things don't get approved without the coaches.
Right. Yeah, I think things have changed. Whether that's I like the early signing period idea in July, and then just bring it back to February. July early signing period, and then regular February, and then. Your portal window's closed. You can focus on closing out your high school class, and I like that.
Yeah, and as long as we're on things that are dumb, let's finish up with one more thing that I think is dumb. So we had Eli Drinkwitz's press conference yesterday, and I don't have the quote right in front of me, but he's talking about the transfer portal and kind of went on and on about how, kids need to learn to fight through adversity and all that. And he will not be the only coach that says this. Every coach in America will say it over the next 3 weeks. Sometimes the grass isn't always greener and you got to go through some tough times to be good and all that. So first of all, let's stop pretending that the third string running back wanting to go somewhere else is the downfall of American society, right? But second of all, how many kids over the next 3 weeks are going to be told by their head coach, hey, man, we need your scholarship. You probably ought to find a place to play.
That's right.
Right? So which ones have to stay and fight? The ones that you think are going to be good?
Exactly.
But the ones that aren't going to be good, oh, no, we don't. No, oh, no. Fighting through adversity, that's not for you, man. You know what's for you? Emporia State is for you.
Man, that's a huge demotion right there.
I don't even know if they play football, honestly. But
I'm pretty sure they do, I think. But yeah.
Well, I didn't want to pick on some like I didn't want to send the kid to UAB and insult UAB. Like, that's a solid program.
That's a solid program, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of one of those where it's coaches, they're talking, and maybe they actually do feel that way, but there's a little bit of a wink to those statements too, because hey, they're doing what you just said. It's like, hey, we could probably squeeze in a couple more talented transfer guys.
Right.
Hey, the third stringers take a hike.
Right. Yeah. Don't decommit, son. That's a bad start. Oh, hey, this 5-star just decommitted from somewhere. It's cool. Decommit.
Hey, man, I hate to. I know that we got to drop you.
Yeah, right. Just be honest about it, and I wouldn't even care. But as long as we're pretending that the problem is all on the 18-year-old kid who is mad he didn't get enough snaps as he thought he should have, then we can get on our podcast and insult the coaches that are saying these things.
Oh yeah, that's what this podcast is for. Yeah. I mean, it's true though. I mean, look, but there's a lot of stories out there of that happening. We know it happens. So, but yeah, the coaching high ground with a little bit of a wink whenever they say stuff like that though. So,
yeah. All right. Last thing, Sean, what portion of your meal will you be on Thursday when we probably find out, oh, hey, some kid committed and we gotta, will we be appetizers? morning drinks, main course, dessert, evening drinks.
I'm really hoping I hadn't even started eating by the time the news comes out, but
Right. Right.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with the appetizers on my end. So I hope it happens early, and I think we don't need to. Do we need to remind people who we think is going to commit on Thursday?
Look, there have been hints. They can figure it out. We don't like to say that we know a kid is going to commit before it's out there, but if you are interested, read my 10 thoughts from Monday. You'll find it.
I think the biggest hint will probably be plastered on the front page too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Go check out some future casts. So, all right, man. Well, hey, Thanksgiving on Thursday. Enjoy it. Appreciate everything. Any parting shots?
No, man. There's a lot of transfer portal talk, which is a little bit different. Something I wasn't expecting, but yeah, it's almost here officially for the Power 5 guys, and I think the dishing out the FCS offer there to the wide receiver kind of prompted this. But it was fun discussion, and I'm sure we'll keep talking about it throughout the rest of the coming months. So
yeah, I mean, I think we got 3 or 4 more of these before signing day, and then we'll probably go on hiatus for a little while, but we will certainly be active at least up to any bowl game Missouri could play, early signing day, all that here on these shows. So thanks to Sean. Thanks to all you guys for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave us nice reviews, share it on social media. Do all of those things we ask you to do every week. Also get in touch with James Carlton at State Farm Insurance, carltoninsurance.net, on the phone at 314-961-4800. James is a big Mizzou fan. He wants to help out Missouri. He is a big supporter of PowerMizzou.com. You have to have insurance, so you might as well go with somebody that likes the same things you like. And you guys can give him a call, get a quote, mention Power Mizzou. He's going to donate $20 to Mizzou's NIL Collective. Appreciate all you guys being here. We are still going to do the Wednesday show. Gerard Hamilton and I will be back tomorrow with football talk. We're going to take Thursday mostly off, and Mizzou, Arkansas Friday. So we'll talk to y'all later.